Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where we discuss all about farming, specifically livestock farming in Zimbabwe as a business. Today, we'd like to discuss about dairy production as a business. Now, what is dairy production? Dairy production involves the rearing of livestock for milk. This involves cows as well as goats. Milk is an important product which is highly nutritious, rich in nutrients such as protein, fats, as well as calcium and other nutrients. It is found almost present in most households in Zimbabwe. Now, where do milk come from? Milk comes from cows. Raising cows for milk is a profitable business. And let's look at the production metrics in Zimbabwe. What is our demand of milk as a nation per year? Our demand of milk as a nation is currently at 130 million liters of milk every year. And what is our production? Our production, based on 2023 records, is at 100 million liters of milk per year. Now, there is a huge difference between our demand and production. Where does the balance come from? The balance comes from imports. We import milk and milk products from other countries, for instance, South Africa. But what does that mean to you? It means there is potential for growth in this industry. It means there's potential to have money in this industry. Now, let's look at the value chain key players. We have several players within this industry. We have processors, we have farmers, and also other players. Now, who are the major processors in this industry? We can talk of Dairy Body Zimbabwe Limited, which is one of the major players in this industry. It has outlets across the country, which is involved in processing and also distribution. We can also talk of other players such as Pro Dairy, Den Dairy, and Kefalos. These players are heavily invested within this industry. We can also talk of other players such as NGOs and also government departments and also farmer associations and cooperatives. For instance, Zimbabwe Association of Dairy Farmers and also Zimbabwe Farmers Union. These are also have interest in dairy farming. Now, who are the producers in this industry? The producers include the large-scale farmers and also the small-scale farmers. The large-scale farmers involve those who have a huge number of cows and produce a huge quantity of milk. And this, for instance, we can talk of Red Den Farm as well as Mafuru and other farms such as Lamo Dairy and other farms across the country. But we also have small players such as small-scale farmers who tend to produce at a small level. For instance, these tend to own a small number of livestock, for instance, 3 to 5. Now, what does it take to be a player in this industry? To be a profitable player in this industry, there are several strategies you have to put in place. Number one, you have to put your research and planning in line. This is the first step you have to do when you want to engage or to start a dairy farm. You have to understand the industry as a whole. You have to understand the key players within the industry. You have to understand how the product can be moved from the farm up to the consumer. The other thing you have to put into place is your goals. You have to set your goals properly. This entails the size and also the scale which you intend to start. Are you going to start as a small-scale farmer or as a medium-scale farmer or as a large-scale farmer? Another thing you have to put into consideration is the business model. Are you going to be a raw milk producer or are you going to be a processor, or are you going to be both the producer and also the processor? Now, the next thing is to secure financing. It is important to understand that dairy farming is quite costly when it comes to the initial investment. For instance, you have to estimate your cost, such as the initial investments, such as land cost, as well as cattle to start with, and also infrastructure, feed, and also equipment. And on the other hand, we have to put in consideration issues such as veterinary care and other needs. You have to seek your funding that is quite affordable. For instance, you can obtain loans from banks as long as you are in agreement with the interest rates. On the other hand, you can also take advantage of grants, for instance, from governments and also from NGOs who from time to time tend to support farmers. You can also think around issues around partnerships and joint venture agreements, whereby a team can pool resources together and start a farm. On the other hand, another source of finance is private funding. The third key thing is suitable, cheap, so that you can at least establish your barns and also grazing areas. Now, on this issue, on the issue of establishing barns and grazing areas, it's important to clearly define your area or production system you are going to adopt. Are you going to adopt an intensive approach whereby the cows will be fed within their housing? Or are you going to approach it using a grazing system-based approach? All this depends on the availability of land and also resources available. And another key thing is also water availability. This is particularly important in terms of quality, water quality, and also quantity. Water should be available all times throughout the year. This is important so that production is not compromised. Now, the next step is choosing a right breed. But what is a right breed? A right breed is one that depends on the farmer's objectives and also the farmer's capital. There are several dairy cow breeds. For instance, you can talk of the Holstein, the Jersey, Ayrshire, Red Den, and other local breeds. But what differentiates these breeds is the production level. For instance, the Holstein is quite productive and highly productive when compared with other breeds. On the other hand, in terms of adaptability, the Holstein tend to struggle with heat stress in high temperature areas when compared to other breeds, and also it is highly consumptive when it comes to feed. Now, the Jersey, when it comes to the Jersey, it is quite adaptable, but it produces less milk than the Holstein, and also the milk produced by the Jersey has quite a little bit of high butterfat. And also, when it comes to other breeds such as Red Den, they are quite low yielding when compared to Jersey as well as the Holstein, but they are quite adaptable to high temperature areas. Now, the selection of the breed entirely depends on you as the farmer. It entirely depends on your environment and also capital and also resources available. The next thing is construction of the necessary infrastructure. This involves the housing for the cows and also milking facilities and also feed storage areas. These have to be constructed depending on the intended amount or number of animals to be purchased. And also, another key thing is the feed and nutrition management. It's important to ensure feed availability all times. This includes forages, silage, grains, and also minerals and supplements. It's also important to put into consideration feed budgeting issues such that there is a continuous supply. Any interrupted supply will result in a negative impact on production. Therefore, it's important to manage feed properly. And also, it's also important to consult a feed nutritionist from time to time so that you see areas that needs improvement. On the other hand, it's also important to have health and hygiene management strategies in place. This is important to schedule for regular checkups with veterinary experts and also disease monitoring and control. For instance, one of the common diseases is an tick-borne disease, theileriosis, or commonly referred to as January disease, which have wreaked havoc within Zimbabwe. It's important to adhere to recommended dipping schedules. On the other hand, also adherence to vaccinations and deworming procedures. Hygiene is very important because you are working with a food product, milk, and any disturbance in cold chain can result in spoilage. Therefore, it's important to maintain equipment hygiene and also milking areas clean all the times. Another key specific area is hiring and training of staff. it's important to hire qualified staff and also train staff from time to time to improve management and also improve production levels. Another key thing or key area which is very important is develop a marketing plan. You have to understand that in milk production business, you are paid based on the quantity of milk and also based on the quantity of milk solids. Milk solids involved the milk fat and also milk protein. Therefore, it's important to approach this based on the aspect of breed and also on the feeding strategies. And also, it's important to harness this marketing plan with supply contract agreements with processors so that you know the amount of milk you have to supply to the processor. On the other hand, the amount of money you are going to be paid per kilogram or per liter of milk. Now, it's also important to grow gradually within industry. Putting all things into perspective, it's very important to understand the industry. It's also very important to research and also plan accordingly and consult experts in this field and secure cheap and affordable finances. As long as you are located close to the processor or you are accessible to the processor, this is a viable business. On the other hand, you have to choose a right breed which is quite adaptable and also high yielding.